Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we are in episode 2 of Marvel Yap with the GOAT, not my dance. Super excited. We got some Marvel Snap Recap. We got OTA breakdown. We got some speed overview. And we got some just, I think, like ideas for what we got going on with the meta going forward. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. How was your weekend, Dance?
Hey, it was really solid, actually. I had a blast. I went camping this weekend. It was nice, disconnected. Didn't play any Snap the whole weekend, pretty much, which felt really strange to me. So actually, I'm a little bit out of touch with how it feels like the OTA landed. I would say, because pretty much like Friday, I left midday, so I think the OTA was only around for like one day. Hadn't even gotten settled. Moving straight into that stuff, but overall it was a really good time. I just was able to chill out. I read. Do you still read? Do you read still? It feels like a wild thing, but I haven't read. When I was a kid, I loved to read. I haven't read in years.
I haven't picked up, I would say, a book in like a hot minute. But like I read comics and I read manga and stuff. But like you're probably talking like books. I haven't read a book in forever.
Yeah, I may or may not have over the course of the weekend read. Did you ever read the Percy Jackson series?
Oh, that's
did you ever hear about those?
Favorite series ever.
Oh, dude! I read the sequel series over the weekend. I read all of Heroes of Olympus.
Also, a fantastic series too. So I'm here for that.
I really want to reread Trials of Apollo now. It's been a while.
Yes, I need.
Sorry, total off. That's gonna be a different conversation. Not to get too distracted by everything else. I didn't know that you had read those. I was expecting a no. But I mean, your weekend, right? You SnapCon. I saw you there. I tuned into the live stream whenever I had a second. How was that?
SnapCon was as amazing, if not even better, than what I had hoped it had been. We got to meet so many amazing creators, and like you said, the OTA happened, right at SnapCon. But it didn't honestly affect the tournament play, I would think, all too much. Maybe just a little bit, which I can jump into that more when we review the OTA. But like SnapCon, what was really cool is putting, names to faces and seeing those faces in real life. Are they actually as tall as they say they are? And Guest and I actually stood back to back. Guest is half an inch taller than me, but I still am 6'5". Guest is just 6'5.5". All right, he says he's 6'5". He has an extra half an inch. Ayo. And I got to meet some awesome people. Also, Infinite Vertos was there, so I got to talk to some people from Newverse side of Marvel Snap,
cool.
which is really cool. But it was just so awesome to see so many awesome creators. And there's also people who weren't even creators that were just there to meet creators and participate in the tournament and stuff. Like, it was just an overall super awesome experience.
Yeah. So again, I didn't go this year, so I'm kind of out of the loop on a lot of that stuff. What exactly? Imagine, let's pretend like I hadn't heard of it before. What exactly is SnapCon itself? It's not run by Marvel Snap though, or Newverse, right? It is a fan-made convention. If I'm not mistaken, what are the details on it, just in case? I feel like I kind of know it from hearing stuff, but I've never gotten a breakdown.
So SnapCon is an event run by Felicity. Shout out to Felicity, and it was sponsored by Powered On. Shout out also to Powered On Gaming, as you can see from this thing over here at the top right above my head.
Powered On, weird. No idea what that is. Anyway.
But it was just an event where a bunch of creators come together. It was networking. We also had a tournament going on. There was game shows where it tested your Marvel Snap knowledge. There was also little pocket tournaments run by Gunny T. Like, there was a Pokemon kind of theme where like you're on a team of 3 and you fight until you get knocked out, and then your opponent or you and your opponent get knocked out, and then you have the other person trying, kind of like the Johnson Cup, where it's like a 3v3, last one standing or last team standing kind of wins situation. You only have your health bar or whatever. And we just we had the convention from like 10 to 6, sometimes 10 to 7. And then afterwards, we just hung out. We all got food together. It was interesting just to not talk about Snap and just talk about, real life and, meet these people, because we're all people. We're not just, streamers, not just gamers and stuff.
We're not just images in a box.
Not just images in a box. It's crazy. I know.
I can't leave. I can't leave this. This is, where's the box? It's here, right? I can't leave this box. Is that how this works? I don't know. But what was it? I mean, what was some fun moments? Like like maybe not like the big moments, like, or what is it? I think I tuned in a couple of times, and I think one of the things I tuned in for was you running in on stage to the Yar Har Fiddle Dee Dee song, and saying that I think Meek would be the person in your crow's nest, I think is what you said. I don't.
Exactly.
I literally tuned in for that and then lost connection because again I'm out in the wilderness, so it's very spotty. And I was like, I don't know what I just saw.
Yep. So we also had WSF there, the World Snap Federation, if you guys didn't know. A lot of Marvel Snap creators take on a different persona, like you're in the WWE, but it's Marvel Snap theme. So I'm the Pirate King. And yeah, GC asked me if I were to have any card to be part of my crew or be in my crow's nest on my ship, and it would be Meek, because, you know, we are Meek believers here. We absolutely love Meek because, you know, we are avid discard enjoyers. But yeah, so there's stuff like that. So like themed events for stuff that had already happened outside of Snap. And then we had panels. I actually got to talk on a panel with KX, JJ Rolk, Default Dan, Gregor, Nick DeGeek. And we talked about some strategy. And it was cool to kind of, you know, talk about strategy when it comes to Snap, to Infinite, to Conquest, to facing other decks and, you know, finding out info and everything too. It was really cool.
And so how many people did you mislead with your Old America was fine for the game shenanigans or slander did you, should I say?
Well, I think I misled people more with the Howard the Duck idea that that Call Me Sal thought of, that I thought could be interesting.
What's the idea?
So it's make a Howard the Duck an activate card. You activate, you see the top card of your deck, of course, and if you don't want that card, you send it to the bottom of your deck. So you get to scry your card is what they were calling it, which I never had heard that term before. But like you either have to choose in that moment to either get that card on the next turn or to kind of just like reshuffle your deck in a way. Or not reshuffle, but change, you know, what you get, which would be interesting.
That's wild. Okay. Yeah. I think I have questions about how that exactly worked, but that's nice. That's okay. Fair enough. And that's cool stuff. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting if they actually did that. That'd be fun. What is it? I mean, Jeff's a lot of fun, but Howard is a lot of fun. Yes. But I was going to say, this is Jeff Week that we are currently doing some stuff in right now, right? There's going to be a lot of really fun stuff. I think when the day we're uploading this, there's going to be a Jeff Spotlight cache coming out, as well as I think Speed and Iron Lad is in it, which if y'all didn't, yesterday Tuck just put out a video about Iron Lad, which did have Jeff in it as well. So if y'all are looking at Spotlight cache, you're like, maybe it's good. I don't know about any decks for it though. Man's got a great deck for it. Just saying.
Yeah, shout out to Zombie for the list, by the way. It flows really, really well because people are snapping you because they don't know exactly what you're going to play. They just see Hydra Bob down on the board, and they think that that's just going to mean you're playing something awful, but you're not.
Why would you be playing? It's Hydra Bob. He's amazing. What are you talking about? Anyway, that's good stuff, though. No, I mean, what is it? So that's a lot of fun. It's cool for you to be able to connect with so many different people over at SnapCon. And I think the actuality of being able to see people for real and not just have all these faces, or not just have all these names on a screen, reading those out, or the little boxes in the corner of the Snap gameplay or what have you. That's really cool to be able to make that connection, be able to see all those people. That's a lot of fun. I'm glad that you were able to do it. I'm glad whoever was out there. Again, I couldn't myself because I had plans, but I'm glad that was such a. Hopefully, if I can, I would love to. If I can, I'd love to. 100%. It was what is it? It seemed like a really great time, and I was happy to. It's a good sense of community. I think it's a really good sense of community. I think it's one of the best ways to put it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely felt like the way we talk about each other on Twitch and other socials, like how supportive we are all as a group, really was showcased with SnapCon itself.
Well, what was it? What was your? I don't know if I want to say most surprising, but what was I guess I will just say most surprising. What was the maybe person or maybe someone you hadn't seen the face of or like just had read the username and they said, "Hi, I am this username," and you're like, just it didn't make sense. Or was there anyone even like that where like you saw them at first and you're like, "This is the face for that"? I don't know.
I would.
I don't know if you want to call them out, but
for the most part, I had seen everyone's face before SnapCon, but like. There was a lot of people that I thoroughly enjoyed talking to. Just to name a handful, I really enjoyed talking to Husky. Husky Puppies is always a great time. I enjoyed talking to Revis. Revis was really, really awesome to talk to. Of course, you know, Sino, it was great to see him in the flesh. He was supposed to be there last year. Good to see him this year. And then, of course, I love hanging out with a party. A party is also incredibly nice. And just a very supportive, just like not only content creator, but member of the community.
Nice. That's awesome stuff. That's really cool. No, I'm glad though. I'm glad that it's such a good experience. I'm glad that can be something that the fans can do to be able to build a sense of community in a way that I don't know if Marvel Snap wants to do or could do, if that makes sense. It was very cool to be able to still see that stuff and be like, they're all there just because of this stupid mobile card game where we look at these the bundles or variants like this and we're like, wow, God, we're all here because Ryan Kinnard brought us all together. That's it.
Yeah, and like that's the thing too. Like there was questions like when Jeopardy, it was about art. So it was like, what is the name of this album? Not bundle. What's the name of this album? And then like, what is this artist made? What artist has the most variants in the game? Kind of thing. And it was cool to kind of see who all knew the finite detail numbers opposed to just the stats of like cards and everything, which we're actually about to look at here in just a second.
Yeah, I will say, hey, fun question. If y'all don't know, what is it? I think there is. Oh, I don't remember. There's exactly one piece of art in. I don't remember if they still do it. I feel like they did it. There's one piece of art in Marvel Snap. I will say, fun fact in terms of like who does the most variants. Is it just me or base Phoenix Force? That one doesn't look like any other base card.
Yes, no, I think base Phoenix Force, but I can actually pull it up real quick so we can all.
Because again, Ryan Kinnard, I think still did a lot of the art on base. I think did stuff on base Phoenix Force, but in comparison, it definitely does not. Like, I don't know. When I look at that, doesn't feel the same as again a lot of other Ryan Kinnard art, which I feel like he does a little bit more of those outlines there, and he just has that makes it stand out more. But again, random thing I've disliked about just this one. This one does not feel like a base card compared to the other ones.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It looks like it is an alternate art of Phoenix Force. Like even like comparing it to like the season pass variant, like this looks like something different. And then like you said, this is Alex Horley, of course, but like this doesn't look like a regular Kinnard. It looks like something else altogether. So yeah, it's weird.
Random thing. I just was thinking about that and I saw it. But yeah, God, I love the new wave. But no, I'm glad. That seemed like a really fun time. I was glad that you were able to experience that, and I'm glad if you guys did go. I'm glad you did. If you didn't, join me, and next year, it could be our first time. Be a fun time.
It is worth the trip and everything too. Just for the people, it was worth every penny.
That's awesome. While you were out there, you got to hear the first impressions of a lot of people from the OTA, right? The OTA had occurred while you were out there, I think. And so you got to hear a lot of people's first impressions and a lot of the initial yays and nays of the OTA, which we can go through over here. But what were the thoughts that you heard of on that? Because again, I'm not being in the loop for the last week or so. I'm interested in what you just heard from the general community on it.
I think like it was very interesting when I talked to Revis about it. Revis actually brought up like the statistics of the Airship change. Going from 20 cards to 23 cards, it made your...
Which I will say, sorry, real quick, I was just going to say, if you guys didn't know what it was, Airship was previously at the start of the game plus 1 max energy. You shuffle 12 random cards in your deck. Now it is the exact same, except it's now 15 random cards in the deck instead of 12. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, you're totally good. But so like the percentage of you drawing your cards was 20% originally. Now it is 18% to draw those cards with the change to Airship. So it's nothing really crazy. I mean, like, yes, it does add more cards to your deck and stuff, but that 2%, I mean, makes or breaks some things if you think of Old Chavez, like you were talking about originally. But I don't know. I feel like there's been a lackluster, honestly, with this change of even like Cassandra Nova is what I've heard. You've not seen a lot of Cassandra Nova, who also did get readjusted in this OTA, going from a 3-1 to a 3-0, like we did predict in the last video.
We predicted a couple of these. There were some that we were maybe off about, but I refuse to acknowledge the fact that I may or may not have been on some hopium with hope. The Nova change was good. Cassandra was, especially the fact, because again, I hadn't realized until previously, the fact that Cassandra had a better play rate than Shang-Chi was boggling to me. So the change to her, I think, was warranted at the very minimum, because again, she was just too much value for what she could do. with the steal as well, can potentially be even more than just like a 3/7 on curve, right? Because it also hurts your cards, whole thing. But I don't know, with the Airshim, though, circle back on that one, I like the fact that they hit him in this way. But I think twofold. For one, and I think we're going to talk about it in a bit whenever we get to the top meta cards, but for one, Loki, I think, is making Airshim too good right now. And for two, I like the fact that it's less reliant on the cards you put in the deck. But now when your opponent gets those cards, it hurts even more than before.
Yeah.
Because again, the chance of it happening is so much smaller now. Again, maybe it's only 3 more cards, but it is smaller. And so when they draw those cards, you're like, they just nerfed this to make that less likely, and it still happens. I think the feels bad is increased, while I think in actuality it is a good change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the feels bad of them actually drawing the cards when they have 3 more cards shuffled in their deck does feel bad. But I think what really makes Airshim feel less oppressive than it was a couple weeks ago was the changes to Doc Ock and Leech. Like, when I face Airshim now, I don't feel like I'm going to lose my combo itself. I feel like I'm going to lose my game more against Airshim if they have a surprise card, or if I don't draw the cards I need to win, opposed to Airshim's going to have Doc Ock anyways, and I won't be able to play the game. Like, yeah. It feels better in that sense to me. So, like, I don't dislike Airshim as much now with the changes to the shell Airshim had, opposed to just Airshim himself.
Yeah, I like that. That's fair. But I think Airshim's in a better spot. I think Cassie's in a much better spot as well. Both of those, I think that they're both still good, but I do not think either one is as prevalent as before.
Yeah, no.
But the next change was to buff up the Thanos kit, and the Mind Stone went to a 1/1 from a 2/1. So all the stones now have a 1 cost, which is cool. But it's what do you feel about this change for Thanos here, or for the Mind Stone, Thanos, the whole thing?
So I think they made this change because they wanted to kind of maybe diversify the meta a bit more. I do like this with the way Lockjaw interacts now, but I feel like just some of the cards around Thanos also had gotten hit because they were used in Airshim. So like Blob capping out, quote unquote, at 13 now instead of 15. It's interesting to see where Thanos is. I honestly have not seen a lot of Darkhawk recently. So I think you probably could run some Thanos again, but it's just like, would you rather play Thanos or play Airshim, you know?
That's the reason why I think Thanos still isn't great, because of the change between those two. Airshim is just better Thanos currently, right now, in terms of adding cards to your deck, extra cards to your deck. Airshim just does it better than Thanos. And I think Thanos just needs a little kick in the pants, and that's it. Yeah. What is it? We can talk about like potential things in terms of an OTA thing, maybe a different time. But like I in my mind, I think Thanos is very close to becoming playable. I think Airshim is still better, but I think Thanos is very close to becoming playable, and I think he just needs not to go for a full tangent, but he has next to the same text in as Agatha does, where they start in your opening hand or whatever. It's slightly different, and Thanos counts as one of the opening cards, whereas Agatha doesn't.
Gotcha.
I think if you just make it so Thanos does not count as one of those opening cards and Agatha does, if that makes sense, you just do that change and that's legitimately it. I think Thanos will be fine. I think that's where Thanos needs to exist, where yes, he is going to add these extra cards into your deck. Yes, he's going to be Thanos-centric because he will start in your hand. But I think it just needs to be in a way that Thanos is not... Like, Thanos is going to be different in terms of the amount of your opening hand is, to give you the options at the beginning of the game. Because I feel like that really can hurt Thanos decks so heavily. But in general, I like the fact that they're giving him a little bit. Try not to go too much here, but I just think he's a little bit further away than they maybe would like.
Yeah, I agree, and I honestly, I'm thinking of a cook right now with Thanos, actually, after this conversation a little bit. But fun. We could address that later. But no, I agree. I think Thanos needs a little bit of extra help. This Mind Stone was a step in the right direction. to helping Thanos, especially if you want to play like destroy Thanos once again as well. It helps you with your Killmonger, so you're hitting every single stone possible, even though you're probably not trying to hit every stone possible if you're trying to just go the Thanos route itself. But no, I'm very excited to see what the future holds, and if any of these cards coming out later might actually help Thanos too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But another card that, I mean, the next card that was hit though was, did we say Athena was going to get hit? Did we say that?
Yes.
I know we had talked about it inside of conversations, like just between us, but I don't know if we said it last time.
I don't think actually no. We did not say Athena herself was going to get hit. We were thinking she might get tweaked, but we didn't say like outright of the cards listed, Athena opposed to like,
Yeah. Let's not talk about Nocturne yet, okay? It still hurts. Hurts.
Yeah, but now Athena's a 2-0, which
it's fine. There's the argument that it's technically a buff with the Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's I don't know. It's technically a buff. It's also it is a nerf. So I don't know if it's technically better or worse, but at the very minimum, I'm happy this change occurred. Because it does feel more balanced now. But what is it? It's gonna be very, very spicy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Athena stuff, like looking at it, like yes, it dodges Shang-Chi and everything too, but I feel like for the most part, people weren't trying to get their Athenas as big to get into that Shang-Chi range, especially if you were like not to draw it on curve and stuff. That makes it feel bad. Like with Athena overall, if you don't draw her on curve now, she doesn't get that, that extra 1 power, which could, add up. But like it's just a quality of life kind of change. Whereas like the Nocturne change, I actually kind of feel that a bit more than I do the Athena change.
That's fair. All right, but jumping out of order, let me know when you want me to start talking. I want to make sure you're going to be good for future you.
No.
What is it? So then we'll jump out of order here, right? Because we've brought Nocturne up already. Nocturne went to a 3-4 from a 3-5. Did we both predict this? I think yeah.
We did.
I really like Nocturne, and I think she's a great card. I don't hate this change. I think she's still gonna be a fine card. You lose the bit where it's like, what is it? You got the cost and the power addition from like exactly Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch added together to make a Nocturne. But she was such a good. I feel like it's just the fact that cards that interact with locations are consistently undervalued by the community. Nocturne, I feel like by many people was slept on when she first came out.
Yes.
And I think it's the same way with Legion when Legion came out. Location interaction is insanely valuable. The ability to just make locations change, like that's the biggest thing that messes with Marvel Snap, all the different locations and stuff. So cards that mess with those, I am not surprised about their power level being high. And Nocturne felt like one of the best ones I had seen in a bit. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Nocturne change, it does feel sad, but it does feel warranted. One of my least favorite things is when someone does Cassandra Nova me, and then my Nocturne's a 3/3, and then that feels really
that hurts
really
a little
bad.
bit.
But 3/5 we're seeing is like a premium stat line for a lot of these 3-cost cards, so that this change is definitely impactful. I mean, especially if you're just looking at what she does, I think she needed to be 3/4. But it definitely is like the premium stat just felt so good. This card is still incredible and still something you flex into a bunch of decks, kind of like Jeff. But yeah, I think it was needed, but it does feel sad.
Yeah, I think overall fair, but or something. I don't know, but I mean, next in the order, it was one that we had said. I think we both had said. Sandman. We were time for us to get out of the sandbox. We were over it. I think even the 5/6, it wasn't big. It was just, they even described it as a slap on the wrist or something like that. It's just it makes the deck just a little bit worse. I'm fine if the deck is still broken. That's a problem for future I guess snappers. But like, I was fine with this change. I personally was more than chill with it. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think 5/6 is still a little strong. I think 5/5 would have been better. But I think it's just kind of okay. Sandman got hit just 1 power. Okay, different than like Nocturne. got hit 1 power and it actually feels different because you're using it more than just for 1 turn kind of thing.
True, yeah.
But no, Sandman, I'm like, 1 power, whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. But then also, speaking of that 1 power, whatever, Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike went from a 5-6 back to a 5-7. She was at this, and they put her back down. Then they put her up. They don't know what to do with her. Of course, you got my tinfoil hat people, right, who are saying that the only reason she got this change was because of the bundle that's currently in the shop. When we're recording this, I don't know if it's still there tomorrow, but there is all that stuff, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think she. It could be clickbait. I ain't gonna. I don't believe it, but at the same time, I'm not surprised if it's true. I don't know. It's just like, okay, I think she wasn't a good card anyway. I think you and I were talking about it, and you had said like you really want to do some stuff with Lady Deathstrike, and you were struggling with it. So
Cersei's
definitely
better. She just got literally beat out by a card that's better in her slot with the same power. So they tried to make her 7 power like Cersei to see if she can compete, and she does not compete.
Yeah, I still feel like Cersei's better. I think Cersei might be able to. Cersei's a card that could lose power, but again, I think the reason why Cersei wouldn't lose power, off minor tangent, but I don't think Cersei would actually lose power because of the fact that people don't know what cards to Cersei.
Right.
The amount of for what, in my personal opinion, stop Cerseiing 2 costs, stop Cerseiing 1 costs, and stop Cerseiing 5 costs. You want to Cersei your 4s, you want to Cersei your 4s, your 3s, and your 0s, and that's pretty much it. Maybe your 7s if you really want to get Arishem to death. But other than that, you're taking a bit. The Destroyer. There's a bunch of other cards that can mess with you if you get the 6 costs. So many 3 drops that change your game plan, and your 2 costs as well. 2 costs are iffier, but I think that's the reason why Cersei is probably going to be the way she is, just because it is more. There's a lot more variance in the way that she can work.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Cersei's okay at a 5-7 because the RNG. Kind of like, you don't nerf Pixie at all because like what Pixie does, maybe you could make her 1-1. But you don't really need to vary those cards holistically.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. But again, with all the zoo and everything running around, Lady Deathstrike, they wanted her to be an answer, but they did want the answer of Man-Thing to come back. Man-Thing going from like a 4-5 to a 4-7.
Which this
Man-Thing
honestly is probably the best change of the OTA.
Yeah, I think as you struggle to type in the word man, I think Man-Thing was a very solid change. I think I just feel like he's better this way. I think you have enough 3 drops and stuff because again, you're hurting your own cards enough unless you're running Luke Cage that it really goes down effectively. And again, I feel like this is one of those things where they talked about it a while ago, but when Red Hulk was dominant, they were like, we expected Leader to show up, and he didn't, so they gave him some extra power. I feel like this is that same similar situation where people are like, okay, everyone's dropping all these zoo decks and no one's doing Man-Thing. What? Come on, guys, he's right there. Or same thing with Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah.
So didn't mind it. I'm chill with this stuff.
And it's interesting. Like now you're seeing a very spicy toxic Sarah list again, making use of Man-Thing, Ajax, U.S. Agent, and everything too, which is really spicy. And like you said, people are just filling their boards with 1 cost. Kate Bishop's the season pass card, so they're filling up all sorts of arrows on their side of the board. So Man-Thing to kind of start negating that. You pair it with the cards and everything too. There's a cool High-Evo list I saw going around with Man-Thing. It's just like the 4-5 felt weird, and like for what he does, opposed to like a 4-5, whatchamacallit, Warpath gets the extra 4 power or extra 5 power. He comes to 410, and then like the Mega Red's a 4-5. His ability boosts other locations. This just needed not a lot, but like a good chunk of extra power on itself to make it better in how just like kind of how outdated this card kind of was. And it's been in spotlights, and it's coming back into spotlights in October. So they wanted to have just a little tweak to people get excited for the first week of October.
Yeah, no, and I'm fine with it. I think this is again just a solid change. I don't know if it's going to break him. It's still a bit early, but again, I don't think I've seen anything that really makes this. Everything I've seen so far is just like this is a good change. No one's complaining. Now, were you complaining about the last change in this OTA? Were you? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll let you tee it up here. But what are you? What are you feeling about about our last one? I won't say the name. I'll let you show us off.
So when it came down to it, and just trying to think through, how much do we love, how much do we hate what's going on, like with the meta and everything. I was like, why is this a thing in the game? This just doesn't make sense. You know what could have happened? We could have gotten a Sabertooth change, but instead we get this. Yeah, I'm gonna be playing my Angel out on turn 2 now, or like, yay, 3-power non-destroyable Angel comes out on the board, so I can't get extra Killmonger value. Like, it's just,
yeah, I don't really know about that. I will say the best use case I have seen for this so far, and it's the only one. It's you put this in Phoenix Force lists, so your deck can thin and you can hopefully get your Phoenix Force sooner. That is the only place I have seen. Oh God! Did you just see a light turn on in his eyes right there? But like,
I like that actually.
It's I think the best potential place for this card.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think it still sucks. But it was such an interesting spot for me to see people actually using that. And I was like, oh, this, okay. But that's it. Like, it's literally pretty much just that I've seen that makes this work. Or else you put it, I've seen people throw it inside of Airshim and then just thins deck. Same thing as M'Baku, honestly, but it's slightly better, technically.
No, I like the Phoenix Force. I actually do want to do some testing with that now.
Oh God, no! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I will be making a Phoenix Force thumbnail in the future, or maybe it's an Angel thumbnail. I don't know, but that's a.
Okay.
I mean, okay, never mind. I've convinced him. He started this off with the biggest rant, and
he's
now he's just nodding
horrible.
and smiling.
It's still like
okay,
a
never mind.
bad change. It's still like really bad.
I want to disagree. I don't think it's a bad change. I just don't think I don't think it's good either, though. I don't think it's bad or good. I think it's just shrug.
It was an unwarranted change.
I mean, I don't even know if it's unwarranted, right? The card sucked and it wasn't being used. I don't know. It's that weird argument where technically, Adam Warlock got buffed from a 2/0 to a 5/5. Technically, it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's that same technical argument here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's truthful or if it's actually better, but it is. I think it's that whole technicality. It's maybe technically better there. I don't know if it truly is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's because again, I really don't want to say that this is better. It is actually better, but at the same time, it is a change that is. I'm gonna keep saying it. Technically, a buff.
Yeah, technically he has more power now, so he's better.
And he can't die to Killmonger.
Yeah, and I was so worried about my Angel dying to Killmonger.
I know.
District X.
I know. I know. It's a con. That was gonna be a whole point of this. The whole yap. It was gonna just be Angel dying to Killmonger, but it didn't fit on the new infographic that I made over down here-ish. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, now that we've talked about the OTA, let's actually see how it has affected the meta, and like if it actually has changed like any of the stuff we got, going forward. So we're gonna pull up some untapped stats. We're looking at the past 7 days and the top 50% of Infinite based on popularity.
Yeah, and again, these are untapped stats. These are public tracking stats, so there's gonna be some weirdness in here. Gonna be some. Yes, this is only what maybe the I don't want to say pros, but the sweatier players are noticing and playing with more so. So that's going to be we'll be talking about that over here. But I mean, Shang-Chi is still what is it? Shang-Chi. At least he's back over Cassandra.
Yep.
I just think Cassandra's still good. I don't think Cassandra's still great, right? She's a 3/6.
Yeah.
Now
minimum.
That's
3/6.
still minimum 3/6. Kate is interesting because I feel like last season we talked about it, where we were saying that potentially Gwenpool was too good because of this, because of the same thing. I wonder if postseason Kate's gonna be a problem still. And I don't think that they're going to change her, but I don't know if she's a problem.
I don't think Kate is a problem. I think she's just super versatile, which is why you're seeing her in so many different lists. And I'm going to say that the Acid Arrow is a top 5 1-drop in the game.
I agree with that. I think Acid Arrow definitely. If she gets nerfed, Acid Arrow gets nerfed, I think.
Yeah, it wouldn't be any power to her. It would just be, I think, that arrow that would need to be tweaked. But they do need to fix the grapple arrow to make it not lag your game. Please.
Patch tomorrow, Copium. Let's go. It's going to be fixed. Probably not. But, no. I mean, okay. The real card, I think, in these top cards that actually warrants discussion, I think we should talk about Loki.
Okay.
New Loki. My own personal opinion on it. New Loki, and I'm someone who was, for old Loki, I did not mind old Loki. I said that many times. I had no problem. I didn't have qualms with old Loki. I said old Loki was fine for the metagame. It didn't change anything here. It just kind of created a situation where you were just playing the same thing or whatever, and it made some stuff where your opponent was you were trying to go off certain cards. It felt like you still had to build a deck around it. It was not the most interesting. I didn't think it was a problem. New Loki, I think, is busted. I think New Loki is busted, unfun. The fact that it's just the best slot inside of Airshim sucks, in my opinion. And even though I didn't like or think that old Loki is a problem, you were building decks around old Loki. You were building lists that took advantage of making your hand large, which was cool. And I get that they removed that because, for one, Kate Bishop was coming out, right? And they didn't want to make her just feel shoehorned into Loki. And they wanted Loki to feel more diverse. And I just think that New Loki doesn't have any interesting deck requirements, is just the best card inside of Airshim, and it just doesn't offer anything interesting anymore. I don't know. I just kind of dislike it a lot now.
Yeah, and I think looking at it just through Airshim, I can see not liking Loki. I personally enjoy playing Loki a lot, not in the Airshim shell, and
that's
playing
fair.
him in some different like archetypes overall, like being able to have my tech still in my hand and then Loki to be able to get my opponent's cards, be able to get some of that intel. I think Loki is just an incredible tournament card, and I think using him in Conquest is really cool for info, as well as just being able to capitalize on what you have going for you. I can see the argument, especially for Airshim, having the extra energy, and having a Loki out on 2 is like the best thing in the world, because it's the best play you can probably make in the game. When it comes to turn 2, because of just how good it is for you for the rest of the game. I think there's some things they need to tweak a little bit, like especially the collector interaction happens on your first draw. You get +1 collector, which is weird.
I think they also responded about that inside of Team Answers, where they said that's a bug and they don't even know why it's occurring, but they are going to fix it. I think they said that somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's just a text issue that I think.
Yeah.
With the draw function on Loki, it is weird because collector doesn't work with District X, and it'd be like kind of the same thing.
Well, no, collector does work with just District X.
It does when.
Wait, no, sorry, Weird World. I was thinking Weird World.
Yes,
Weird
Weird World.
X. My bad. Never mind.
District X,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I will say, fun fact. Not to distract everything, but I clicked it. I clicked Loki to see the top decks. It's actually, I think, the one we were talking about someone recently, Cam Best's list. The non-Airshim Loki list is actually one of the best ones with Loki, which is really cool in my opinion. Uses Wiccan as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think the fact that that's one of the best ones is very cool to me. I still think New Loki is. I personally think it's boring and I don't like it.
New Loki is better than old Loki. So looking at it,
do I agree with that?
Yes, old Loki, you got all your opponent's cards in your hand for sure. You didn't have to draw them. But being able to maintain your tech and not have to hope you get your tech either later from a draw or from your opponent's swap there, I feel like is really impactful. And you're still running a lot of these card generating things, and I think the intel you can just get from the Loki and your opponent doesn't know at the same time with the old Loki what you got can be a snap condition. Because they can't guarantee, what all did they actually draw. They have this amount of cards in their hand. I have these cards in my deck. I'm praying they don't draw this, and this. But now they have to draw said card, or they're starting with the tech in their hand, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. It's definitely, I think, yeah, I don't know if I'll say better. I do not know if I'm going to say better, but it is different, and at the very minimum, different is good. So I'll give it that at least. But yeah, what do you think about Mockingbird? How are you feeling on Mockingbird right now? Mockingbird's consistently, the fact that Mockingbird's at a 24.9% of the meta right now, according to this tracker.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about her?
I think you can make Mockingbird a 7 cost. I know it's crazy, but I think at a 610, she's honestly still just incredibly good. I think you can still get her out at 7 cost. I don't think you reduce her power because I think she's got to be Shang-Chiable. But it's interesting. She wouldn't be protected by Kyra anymore if you do also make her a 7 cost. That's something I'm thinking. But I'm not I don't think she's oppressive by any means, and I don't think she has to get a nerf. I'm not saying she is so OP she needs to be nerfed. I'm just saying if they were to change her, maybe a 7 cost.
Yeah, I could maybe see it. I don't know. I'm really confused on how I feel about Mockingbird as a card. I think I feel like she's just a really good card, and I don't know if that's a problem.
Right.
If that makes sense. I think I enjoy the way that she can be used in some different lists, and I think that she is a really cool card to build around and provides a lot of different utility and interesting situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I really question if it is a potentially problematic card. Even.
Right.
I don't know, but that's something that either second dinner team knows more than us. Maybe they. I don't think they normally do balance changes in patches, which I will say that's one thing I feel like I consistently. I'm trying to pair it more, and I want it to be. I think it should be maybe said more as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like second dinner is really leaning away from trying to do balance patches or balance hits in the patches, and letting that be more so OTA things, whereas the patches much more so are discussions on the actual things that they want to see changed, but they can't do it in an OTA because of limitations. Like when they changed that Thanos stuff, and I think in the previous patch,
more for bug fixes and reworks. Where OTAs should be more on the fly anyways, because patches are normally a month or 2 in advance.
Yeah, so obviously that means everyone, you can take this to the bank. Please don't. You can take this to the bank. That Kang is obviously getting changed in the patch today. Everyone knows it. You're welcome. Thank you so much. As someone who's not in the creator program, I can say this completely with truth and only that in my heart. So you're welcome. This is definitely factual, not at all a joke. But Copycat.
Yeah, Copycat. So here's the thing. Copycat has this win rate and this play rate right now, and that's you still being able to hear audio cues that Copycat got something. As soon as they take that away...
Yeah. Do you think that's going to be fixed?
It should be fixed. If that's something they say that's going to be fixed, Copycat's play rate's going to be just as great, but her win rate's going to be much higher. But I think maybe...
It was locked in a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
When did she come out? Was she out a month ago? I want to check this.
Copycat came out the week before Erishim. Or not for Erishim. She came out the week before Cassandra Nova. So yes,
okay.
She should be before the diner started, which would be before the 20th.
Well, the 20th would be when it is. So she came out on the 23rd. I don't think we're going to see... Actually, so she came out on the 23rd, and the patch is on the 20th of the following month. I don't think she's going to be changed. It's going to suck, but I think we're going to have one more month of it.
Which is, good for the game overall, because when you don't get to hear that, she's going to go crazy.
Right. I dislike the fact that I have to feel like I'm playing at a disadvantage on my phone now. I don't use audio on my phone. I only do audio on when I play on PC. So I dislike the fact that I can't, I don't hear that on there anymore. So I don't know. I dislike that. It's also extremely sweaty, the fact that you have to do that. So I hope that gets changed.
That's actually something when I was playing KX at SnapCon, my Copycat hit an Annihilus 2 times. And he actually snapped me, and I stayed in the game. And he's like, you probably just drew Copycat and hit Annihilus. And he had no audio on at all, and just assumed I stayed in the game that I had, and he literally just read my mind. It was one of the craziest things ever.
Yeah, that's so fair. No, I'm one. She could be the fact that she's already this good of a win rate. I think that once that bug gets fixed, or maybe even before, I think she probably will get changed.
Just a little tweak, maybe make her a 3/4. She said
I think
Nocturne
it's just
got
a
hurt.
3/4.
We gotta hit Copycat too.
Yeah, you gotta. The blue girls are too much. It's my opinion. I'm just saying, Copycat and her are both that good. It's the blue.
Definitely the blue. But like when we look at like the remainder of this list, these cards I think are just solid cards that don't really need to get adjusted. Honestly, I think they are pretty just fair, and they're just in some just good lists right now.
I think Nico's just one of my favorite cards. Nico's the most versatile card, and if you guys don't have her, you should have gotten her in the past. Why in the world did you not get her during her Spotlight Week? And if you still don't, she's one of the few cards I will say spend money on.
Yes.
Like spend your tokens on.
I agree.
I think I think the amount of cards that I would actually say you should spend your tokens on are about 5. And I think she is the top of that list.
And that'll be a topic for another video, but we definitely have a segment for that.
Yeah. But I mean, the last card in the top 10 meta cards, we can talk about this and maybe even talk about his brother. It's going to be coming out later today as well. Wiccan. So Wiccan is a 4/7 on reveal. If you've spent all your energy on previous turns plus your max energy, he just entered the game about a week ago.
Yep.
What were your impressions? What did you hear from the community about Wiccan? What was that for you?
So to me, Wiccan, people were like, skip week. You know, it's not worth it. I don't really care for these cards. And like looking at like even just the win rate right here. So like people are playing Wiccan and are able to get the Wiccan down, but they haven't necessarily, I think, built around what are you going to do with that extra energy. And I think that's what KM's list does really well. And like with the Loki with Wiccan, it's like, okay, well, I have all this extra energy now. I can mess around with my opponent's cards. I can play out more. I've built my deck in such a way to do things correctly. But I think because his cube rate and his win rate is the way it is, people are meeting the Wiccan conditions, but they aren't optimizing their decks to do stuff post meeting the condition, which isn't.
I think we talked about this last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was my biggest question mark with him. How do you do that? And I think that the collector package in that is one of my favorite ways to do that. I've been doing that one, and then the high Evo one as well. I don't know. I've been enjoying Wiccan, and not just because of those, also because the fact that Second Dinner was able to actually make Domino and Quicksilver real cards. I felt like I was on some copium last week saying that Domino was Domino. I didn't even say Quicksilver, but I said Domino was at least going to be a good card with that. The fact that both of those are legitimate cards inside of that list is so cool to me. Like this is just when I want to say props to Second Dinner for absolutely nailing that idea of Wiccan and actually making these two cards that I feel like have long time been jokes in the community, making them legitimately interesting and cool and meta relevant even. Like, yes, I know my opponent is, if they're playing a Quicksilver or if they play a Domino, I know they're playing Wiccan. That is so cool to me though, that they can bring those cards and bring them into some sort of actually wanting to play them.
Yeah.
I just love that. That's so interesting.
And it's like, yeah, we were talking about it being copium. And I think it helps you kind of build more of the later half of your deck as long as you have a proper 3 cost and stuff to play. And of course, you still have to draw Wiccan. But it does, you know, like, I think, yeah, Hooglin made a great, like, list with it, too, with the Domino and Quicksilver that we were talking about. I think it was one of the High Evo lists. And
I made a list exactly the same as him, except for one different card, and I didn't know it, and I was very upset. I showed that list off. I was like, look at this cool list. I love it. And then I was told by his community, like, yeah, this is the one that Hooglin just posted. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I was excited. I'm like, I'm cooking over here. And they're like, nah, you're just baked. So it was a little rude of them, but...
But no, I think the OTA was good. I think the way it fixed them, it didn't fix the meta. I think we were kind of still playing the same things. It definitely was some.
No, I think the meta's still solid.
But I don't feel like we're in an oppressive meta right now. We're just kind of recouping, and I think even with the cards coming out the rest of the season, next season with the introduction of Activate, and then the following season is when the meta truly is gonna like flip on its head.
Yeah, next season is we're gonna be playing Move, which is gonna be weird.
Yes, which Aranya did also get changed in the OTA to a 1/1.
Yeah, Aranya getting changed was not on my bingo card. That was an interesting one. Yeah, Aranya got data mined to be changed to a 1/1 in the most recent OTA as well, which is something interesting. The fact that that's an activate as a 1 cost, 1 power. I don't know if it's a buff. Is that a buff or a nerf to her, do you think?
If you
going
can
from a 2/2 to a
activate
1/1.
If a card is played again, it could potentially be a buff, especially in the move slot, if you can bounce it.
Yeah. Bounce is going to be fun.
Which move bounce already is like really good, but adding this as well. It also depends. I don't think you can activate the same turn you play a card. It has to be revealed, kind of like.
That's not the way it's been data mined. Yeah,
so,
but uncertain.
We'll see. But
that's going to be interesting. That's going to be I didn't think about it in bounce. Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah, I don't know, but not to like as a final like talking point. I don't know. What do you feel about speed? You want to bring him up on the screen, just make sure people see him here. But
so I think that speed, which I don't think I can see it here. We'll have to go to a different search. Let me go to spotlight caches. We're using Untapped, which you can actually use a link I'll have down in the description to get Untapped for free. But here is speed over here.
Yep.
He is an ongoing. You get +1 power for each turn you've spent your entire energy. So you get to a 3/9 potentially.
Yeah, 3/9, 3/10 if you're running magic as well. What do you feel about speed? How do you feel speed's gonna do?
So I think speed is a boring card, but not a bad card. I think there's just a bunch of other 3-drops I think I'd rather play than speed. But I'm not like, I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's going to be okay stat-wise. If you just, play the game normally, I think he'll at least be a 3/6.
Yeah.
So even playing speed on turn 3 makes him a 3/4. So, like, I think he'll get good power, but I'm not, like, really...
I think the biggest thing he's going to have going for him is, I feel like the meta, it's a cool way the meta shifts. The fact that he's ongoing, you don't need to play him until the final turn.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff where you can just drop down a 3/9 on the final turn. And that's it. And it's really, I think he is going to be, I think like you said, he is not going to be an essential card in any way, shape, or form. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
But I also believe that he is going to be incredibly useful in any deck you put him in. I think you're never going to feel bad for him. You're not going to feel like you missed something if you didn't get him as well. I just feel like he's going to be I love the way that he works. I think he's going to be really cool because of all these reasons.
Yeah, and I think you could do some Sarah Surfer things with him too, potentially, or just Sarah things overall. I think you stated it best. Like, as a final turn kind of thing, that way he can't get, Shang-Chi'd, he can't get, not really Shang-Chi'd, but, like, he can't get rogued, he can't get Enchantress.
He could get rogued, but the rogue would probably only add a couple of points to them. And also thinking Shadow King. Shadow King we've seen a lot of in the meta. He doesn't care about the Shadow King because, again, the ongoing, which is really cool. I feel like, it meant, what is it? Yeah, exactly. The fact that it was OG Evo Hulk, which is a weird sentence, but if you're in the Marvel Snap community, you know what I'm talking about. He was originally a +2 power ongoing for each turn you spent all of your energy.
Yeah.
Or no, you didn't spend all your energy. So now, and he was broken in that way. Speed now being similar, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be interesting to see the way he works. Especially with the way that Wicked made, I think, so much of the community change the way they thought about spending their stuff. Speed is going to be really cool in that way as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what all people are going to cook with him. Are they going to cook, or are they just going to net deck? Probably the latter, but we'll see.
No, I'm excited. I think Speed's going to be... I don't think it's going to be something where... I'd be surprised if people honestly cooked with him. Because I don't think you can build a lot of decks just with him. But I think at the very minimum, he's a addition to Marvel Snap that at first I really honestly didn't like in the slightest. But the more that time has gone on, I've been like, kind of down. Kind of down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just gonna be an interesting card, and I'm fine with that. Doesn't have to change the world. It's just different, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and then I think that is kind of the last bit we have. But Dance, where can we find your beautiful face?
Just not my dance. Wherever you want to look, Twitch, Twitter, or if you're weird and call it X. I don't know. I'm just not my dance. Simple as that. And y'all don't know where Tucker is. You're on his channel. You're on his channel. You're on his channel right now. You're there. You just gotta scroll down and hit that subscribe button. You gotta hit that like. You gotta comment. You gotta comment right now. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I just make them. You have to comment right now. What is the most underutilized card in Marvel Snap? Just take that as you will. I'm not going to specify that further. What do you think is underutilized? The most underutilized card in Marvel Snap right now? I'll read Tucker's comments for him. You know, I'll tell them all to him for him. You're welcome, Tucker.
Thank you, Dance. But yeah, we'll be back again next week, and we're gonna be talking about speed. We're gonna be, predicting the OTA again. Maybe we'll get these cards right like we did this past time.
Everything was right last time. It's so crazy how that worked.
And then we're gonna try and have some tips and maybe even some decks for some Infinity Conquest for next week as well.
Yeah, it'll be starting up right then. It'll be some fun. It'll be a fun time. I think we also have a fun, different little segment I want to do with you. But
okay.
There you go. That's a yap.
Mm-hmm. That is the yap. Until the next time, my friends. You guys have a good one and laters.